Everyone, time is now 6:30. I would like to call the regular February 25th, 2020 Community Development Committee meeting to order. We've got Trustee Galante and Trustee Berg and myself, so we have quorum. Moving on to item number 2. I'd like to make a motion to consider approval of the minutes of the Community Development meeting held on October 22nd, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item number 3, discuss New Horizon annexation agreement for 9511 and 9555 183rd Street. Kimberly, you'll take this one?
Thank you. So tonight we have here a draft of an annexation agreement. We've been working with Top Hospitality for the past year on a parcel of land that is currently unincorporated just south of 183rd Street, east of LaGrange Road, off of White Eagle Drive. Approximately a little less than 10 acres. They've approached us to construct a Marriott hotel brand, and it would consist of two hotels that they would like to construct. It did go to Plan Commission last week as a workshop. There aren't too many outstanding items that they need to address. It's a pretty decent plan. However, we're also trying to coordinate the annexation agreement, and some of this has been delayed in discussions just because of the village's other initiative to bring utilities to this area that's undeveloped. About a year or so ago, the village recognized that there was lack of development in this area due to the lack of utilities. So we have started that initiative with our engineering folks to bring utilities to this site, which will help them, therefore, Marriott eventually connect on. Essentially, though, Marriott can have a temporary connection and provide water without us bringing these utilities, but again, that would only be a temporary connection. This would be the long-term connection they're looking for, and we believe that we could potentially time this such that we can have these utilities brought to the site by the time they need to connect on. The zoning would be a B3 zoning, which is a basic, commercial zoning where you can see hotels here. They have, again, approximately 2 hotels. They have a courtyard and a residence inn. They have some amenities with those facilities as well. One of the rooms, the courtyard, is about 125 rooms with a banquet hall. My understanding is the banquet hall isn't really tailored to large events. It's going to be more for meetings, for businesses. It's not going to be your typical wedding venue, but more something along the lines for smaller events, training sessions and whatnot. They'll have an indoor pool, lounge, dining area, and then we have the 118 guest room for the Residence Inn, similar square footage. Again, having some amenities as well. So really, with the draft agreement, we just outline the basic zoning. We're not looking to exclude any uses out of this district, so it would be a straight B3. We are talking about recapture, though, for those utilities that we would be bringing to this site, which is approximately their share, because this would be a larger area for recapture. The proposed use I went through, but here's the kind of concept to give you some images. These are the 2 hotels. Here's the site plan. But the approximate share would be around $600,000 for their portion of those utilities. And again, there also will be pursuing a reclassification for the property, which they need to annex the property first, and then they can apply through the county. This is an area that the village has designated as an area for reclassification. We've done that on our end. But in further discussions with the applicant, they are wanting to further discuss the recapture and talk about some other alternatives on how that can happen. One of the requests that came in was to see if the extension of the utilities in itself that the village does for the area could be their incentive. And then additionally, they want to incorporate in the agreement the ability to phase the site. They did propose this being all built at one time, but they also are now wanting to consider if they can build this in phases, which maybe is not an issue for us, but it may come into play if we want to entertain the portion of their recapture being their incentive and how that all works out if they do phase it or do not phase it. I think those were the two biggies Tiffany mentioned to me today that we weren't able to get into this memo prior to getting this out. But we know there's still some tweaks to be had, but we wanted to give you guys the big picture of what the project is, what are the asks, and just get some direction on how we can move forward and continue to negotiate. Tiffany is here on behalf of the applicant as well as their attorney, and so she can fill in anything that I have missed or answer any specific questions.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm Tiffany Thompson with Mahoney Silverman and Cross, and I represent the applicant, Top Hospitality LLC. We are really excited about this project. We think it's going to be a great addition to the village. Kimberly's done a great job outlining, I think what the issues are, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have regarding the project.
Anything else?
That's kind of the highlights. I can get into more specifics if you need.
Cool.
Well, my
Questions from
first
the group?
question is, reclassification, is that, 6A, 6B, 7A, 7B, what are we
7B.
talking here?
7B.
A 7B for that one you're asking for, from the county?
Correct.
And why are you building in 2 phases?
I think the intent is to build in one phase. However, my clients
I know.
wanted to reserve the right to split it up in case the economy takes a downturn, just to have that flexibility. But the intent is to save on construction costs, to build them both at the same time.
That, I thought that was always more economical to do 2 at once.
Yes, yep, and that's what we're planning on, we're intending, we just kind of want to have language built into the agreement that says, if need be, we can phase it.
I have a question. I like the way it's written right now, and the 600,000 recapture and the 2 phases are the only things that I'd like us to talk more about. So if we could, certainly I think it's more attractive from a village's perspective if we do it in 1 phase as well, instead of drawing out the project to 2 phases. And then I know, talking with Brad, we had some creative ideas on how we'd work that 600,000, so I don't know if you want to talk to that, Brad, or if we
Well,
just need to talk with the developer
Just
this
in
week.
general, I think we have to run some numbers and see if we can make something make sense.
So, Michael, you like the draft of the ordinance as is? I'm not clear on what you, with the
So-
utilities, what are you saying with those?
So the way that came in today, they weren't asking for the 600,000. They were gonna pay that portion of the utilities, and then the way it's written right now, it's 1 phase. So those 2 things changed before the meeting. So those are the only
Well,
2 things.
Actually, I think as far as the annexation agreement is concerned, what we're talking about with the, with looking for an incentive tied to the recapture, I think that would be a separate agreement.
Okay.
Separate from the annexation. I mean, it's still
Part of the big bundle.
part of the bundle, but it would be 2 pieces, I think,
Yep.
I would envision.
Yep. So those were my only 2 concerns.
And then again.
Big ones, yeah.
Yeah.
From
kind of a
the
big
developer's perspective, as, we've already designated this area as,
Right.
as a lighted area to qualify for the Class 7, and obviously they will want to bring that request to us, because because we've designated this area, once we approve it, then the county's approval is automatic. So.
We did that at the beginning of last year.
Yeah, we did it with the Kmart
Yes, that's correct.
and the Aldi.
Correct. So, like I said, there's a 2-step process here. Is that
Yep.
we gotta get the annexation first before they can bring the Class 7 request back to us. So,
Yep.
So what are you looking for? Just an overview then here, or you like the way it's written?
Yeah, I guess I'm
already,
looking
Mike?
for a little direction too, if you want us to continue. It sounds like the phasing, have some more conversations
Yep.
with that. It's preferred to have one,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Work on the numbers for the 600,000,
we
and
can
then,
look and see if that's possible, if there's a way to structure the 600,000 differently.
and then we could bring it to the cow before the next board meeting.
Yeah, they have a public hearing,
Or back to ECC, did they review as well?
We have not gone to ECC yet.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah, it should go through.
I
should
think
go
that would
through
be the
ECC as
proper
well.
channel I'd like to see.
For the
go.
7B portion.
Grant the whole, all any
And
incentives.
Public Works, are they doing the easements, or, I mean, there's a lot of
That will all be.
pieces to this puzzle, I'm
Yeah,
not
the
sure where.
easements will all be handled in the zoning entitlement and the plat that we're bringing forward. So that's being handled on that end.
Okay.
So I guess what we can do is kind of discuss these two items further, and we can either, you know, come back to this group, or we can come back with a draft agreement and share it with ECC. Because I know that ECC's next meeting is in March too, so there isn't anything in between.
Is that the second, though?
Yeah, there's day
Yeah.
before.
There's nothing in between ECC and a committee. I don't know, what other? I think it's the 9th, or, I'm
Oh,
sorry,
they're after our
That's
meeting?
not the
the
second.
2nd.
Yeah, I thought they're the second. and
Second
then-
Monday, which is the 9th, yeah, it is the 9th, yeah.
Okay.
And you guys have village board on the 3rd.
So we could
so-
do them on the 9th and the cow on the 17th.
Mhm. Yeah, because they're going to plan commission on the 5th for the public hearing, so we'd have all that wrapped up. And this all could come back to the board as a first read, potentially on the 17th.
I'm okay with that,
I like that.
Diane?
Mhm, That sounds good.
Okay.
Gives us some time to get the tweaks in there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So do you need a motion to do any of that, or do we just go bring it to the cow?
Is that just direction?
I don't know if I need a technical motion for a committee, yeah.
Only if we brought it to the board.
These utilities are kind of scaring me.
Okay.
I didn't see.
Well, we've been, you know, really trying to work with their team, and they've been really responsive, and it's, you know, we're trying to track everything together,
Yep.
because the reclassification is critical for them.
It is.
And their client, and the annexation has to happen before they can even apply, so that's, you know, kind of what we're trying to work with them on. And so we appreciate knowing it's not a final agreement in front of you guys, but we wanted to make sure you're all aware of the issues.
Looks like we're close.
Okay.
Getting there.
Great,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Tiffany.
Item number 4. Kimberly, again, to discuss the annexation agreement for 18501 Ridgeland Avenue.
Here's the property on the map above. It borders I-80 with Ridgeland to the west. It's an unincorporated parcel, actually a very difficult parcel. It's impeded with a lot of floodplain, limited access, and initially this property became known to us because they were petitioning the county to get rezoning, and that was only because they were, the county had notified them of their non-compliance with their billboards that are existing on the site today. We got that notification because it's within 1.5 miles of our jurisdiction. We did contest that zoning because we were concerned about the I-2 zoning in the county being in close proximity to our Misty Pines subdivision. And also, it's more ideal naturally for the village to control this property as we surround it and its future. So we've been talking to the landowners. Their big premise is just really keeping what they have, and that is those billboards that have been in existence apparently since 1968. And they want to maintain that. So we've structured the agreement to essentially bring them in under the lowest zoning classification, which is R1. And that is, you know, our single family, but we would also acknowledge the existence of these billboards as non-conforming. They can remain as is, they can be normal maintenance and repair, but cannot be expanded upon or, you know, replaced in their entirety. And that just essentially allows them to exist as they are. And if the property ever does eventually decide to redevelop, it's in our jurisdiction, and we have the ability to take it through the zoning process. So we did document the billboards as they exist today as part of this agreement, so we have an acknowledgement of what they are and what their sizes are. That they aren't that close to any of the residential, they're about 420 to 700 feet away from any residential structures. These are lower profiled billboards, as you can see. They're not your ones you see along the Stevenson Highway or 294. They're not electronic. They do house mostly Tinley Park businesses right now. And this is what they want to maintain. They just kind of want to keep this as is. We currently don't allow billboards in our community. It's very specific, actually, where we allow them. It's in the Rich Township Entertainment District, where we acknowledge we have one not in operation, but because this is an annexation agreement, we have the ability to write this in and control it. So this would be we wouldn't have to do a rezoning in front of plan commission per se, because this is coming in under our lowest zoning district, so this would be the committee's first review, and this would then go forward to village board at the next, meeting as a first read and an adoption. So it's not a very complicated agreement. Again, it's just acknowledging what's on the property and that the signs are non-conforming and can remain as is, as they state today.
The annexation will give us control over the land.
It'd be regulated under the zoning district of R1,
Yep.
which is essentially single-family housing. If they want to do anything, it'd have to come through a site plan process. Again, it's a difficult site to develop. It's basically almost all floodplain, limited access, and you're right up next to a highway. So that's our approach. But again, we'd rather control this area than not.
And then if the signs take more than 50% damage, they come down or they get rebuilt?
Nope, they would have to come, they follow the strict code of non-conforming signs, and they could not be replaced.
Gotcha.
Dave, when we were talking about this piece, what was the, we couldn't do anything because they were going with the county? Is that what our discussion was? I asked how we could live with the signs and make peace over there. Do you remember what was the
Well,
holdup?
they wanted to, when they had that annexation, yeah, they had come to us, I think, it was a year or so ago, they wanted to put some type of,
This developer wanted to
Yeah.
develop his parcel?
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, I don't recall that.
What was that?
yeah, there was some type of like landscaping facility.
Well, that was them petitioning through the county.
Yep,
The-
yes.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
So that's all null and void? They're not interested in any of
They
that?
haven't pursued that, right? Yeah.
Mm-mm.
No.
No.
So we're free and clear of that aspect? Okay, because, and how often do they change the signs? Are they monthly rentals, or does anyone know that?
You know, I thought we did ask that. I can't recall now. I don't know, those ones have been up there a while. I'm sorry I don't have that. off the top
That's
of my
okay.
head. I can-
Well, the reason I ask is I'd like to see a Tinley Park use one for maybe a month or whatever. As a courtesy to the village, we would be able to put something on one of them. Maybe when we have a special event month, the parade or something like that, whatever Donna chooses.
I'll have to see how those are written, yeah, because they're static signs, they don't change very quickly, but I.
Mhm.
they
Right,
have
but it looks like they're
structured-
paper and they peel
Yep.
right off, and
Mhm.
is anyone else interested in something like that, or does it seem,
Bad idea.
it's like a little an extra bonus for us? It's great visibility. We can't put anything on the 80th Avenue nor the Harlem. The overpass, they said the IDOT said we can't use those
Mhm.
in any way, so just,
I'm glad there's Tinley Park businesses already there, but it'd be nice if the village was
Yeah.
showcased as well.
Okay.
I'm down for all of them. We're a business too, right? In a way.
So you're looking to have something written in the agreement that would give us?
So maybe we could use it in some way,
Yeah, okay.
if they'd be open to it.
I'm sure they would if we, not free of charge. But
Well,
yeah.
We don't know that. I mean,
Yeah, we'll ask.
I mean,
If it's in between them, change them or something.
Any questions from you, Diane? So for this one, you would like a motion?
Yes, we'd like to move this to the next village board meeting for first read.
So can we have a motion to move the new, sorry, this is the second one, the annexation agreement for 18501 Ridgeland Avenue to the next village board meeting?
So,
second, with the possibility of us
Changes.
getting some
Yep.
advertising.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 5, discuss professional service agreement for tax increment finance feasibility study and related services for a proposed 159th and Harlem TIF. I believe Brad is going to be taking this one.
No, I'll take that, and Brad, and sure.
I'll supplement, I'll
So
supplement.
always, that's so this is a proposal to look at tax increment financing for the area 159th and Harlem, both the southeast and southwest areas. I think as everybody is familiar with those areas, the old Kmart Plaza, and on the other side is another retail center where in both areas we've had a lot of vacancies. We've been working with the property owners and developers to try to get them filled. And in today's era of retail being challenging, it's obviously something that's not that easy to simply fill without some assistance. And so one of the things that we've talked with you about, and we've also talked with our local school districts and park district, is to do an analysis of creating a tax certificate financing district. This is really the first step. This is not creating the district. This is a required study that we have to do, which would essentially be a feasibility study, then the preparation of the redevelopment plan, and then the actual project adoption. So the cost of this is $38,000, would be with Stern. This is, even though we haven't used this firm before, the principal, Maureen Berry, used to be with Ellers. Ellers is essentially moved their offices out of the Chicago area, but she was familiar with Tinley Park, so having her come in and do this is not going to be something foreign to her. She's obviously familiar with the village and the staff. And so, again, this would really be the first step. As with any TIF, we'll have public hearings. We have a joint review board process where the park district and school districts and other local school districts will have formal input and formal review. This whole process would take several months. And obviously, before we would create the district, these meetings and hearings would take place, and we would have results of the feasibility study and the plan before the committee and the board for review. And so we think this is really an important and vital step that's needed to redevelop that area. And I think but for the creation of this TIF, we will not see the types of redevelopment that's really needed at all those retail areas in that corridor.
And then the 37,000, that's not just for the feasibility study. They're also helping us with all the county.
That's the three phases of the
Yeah.
project.
Right.
Phase one is the feasibility, the eligibility, does the area qualify
Mhm.
for a TIF? And then the second phase is creating the redevelopment plan and project.
Yep.
Document of the things that we're looking to accomplish. And then the final phase is then helping us with the adoption, through the adoption process.
And if we get through the feasibility study and this isn't possible, I think it's 18 was the number or something
Right.
along those lines.
Right.
Then we just essentially
Yeah. Yeah,
end the agreement.
We could stop it
Yeah,
at that point.
each of the phases.
Exactly.
So what was the price on it? I'm sorry.
$38,000.
But that's for everything, and if it's not feasible, it's 18.
Yeah, we'll stop.
Now, related to this, we would want to put an ordinance to the board, on the board of approval to allow us to reimburse ourselves for these costs from the TIF.
As part of the increment.
Should it be,
Yep,
should it come to creation,
Mhm.
that we would allow ourselves to be reimbursed.
gotcha.
So what's the difference between this one, they got the east side with Brixmore, and the other side, we had Aldi and Kmart, which are vacant. Those were going to be class 7 or 6. They actually are blighted. The Brixmore is technically not. It's got a few vacancies.
Well, the Tinley Park Plaza, the Brixmore property, is, actually, all of these buildings that actually suffer from being a little aged. The Tinley Park Plaza dates to the early 70s. They do have a lot of vacancy in the site. They are aware that one of their larger tenants is not likely to renew their lease, which will create some more vacancy. And again, they recognize that being that the center is as old as it is, it's becoming increasingly hard for them to get new tenants to locate there. So they need something to spruce the place up. They need to do that, and they need some assistance to get there.
Well, the Home Line is a brand-new store in there, isn't it?
That is a brand new store, yes.
So I
furniture
don't
and
understand how this is going to work. It doesn't make sense to me that we would want to, I mean, trustee Mueller and I were in the economic and commercial meeting, and people and the committee were discussing that, we shouldn't incentivize people who don't take care of their properties. So why is it on us, incumbent on Tinley, to try to remodel a center for these individuals?
Well, I think that the goal is to grow the tax base. And, yeah, there's certainly, in any TIF, you could have projects and buildings that are viable, but if you look at the overall size of the TIF, the overall area, there's challenges. And I would argue that that's the case with both the Bricksmore and the old Kmart area. You do have active buildings there, but in terms of the overall area, we can do a lot better than that. And so the goal, and I will tell you that the districts were supportive of it, is that we want to see the tax base increase, both the property as well as the sales tax base. And that's certainly something we hope to see through the creation of the TIF.
Yeah, I just don't see that, because I think that the return on this will be, marginal, if not nominal, on that center. And I think we'd be better off with the Kmart and Aldi just reclassifying at this time.
I think one of the things that we talked about during the ECC meeting, or the ECC was talking about, was they didn't want village money to be incentivizing projects that were just neglected buildings. This is
Yeah.
going to be a freeze of that tax, and then they will be receiving funds out of the increment that they generate.
Which will be nominal.
I
It won't be a good TIF, is my point, and I don't feel like it's a good move right now. I mean, based on our history with 4 TIFs currently open, as, I've stated before, the entire town. I mean, it was like a joke, but it's not. It's, the entire town is getting TIF.
Yeah, but we're looking at the Main Street TIF generated close to 5.6 million in increment.
Yeah.
That was a ton of increment.
And this is like our busiest intersection, 159th and Harlem. The other side has Oberweis. There's no problem over there. Why is this particular one side of a problem?
Well, and didn't they, the corner was already
There
redeveloped.
are issues on the Orland Park side
Yes.
as well. But again, this is a major retail gateway to the community. Has traditionally been a large anchor for our sales tax. And again, these are aging centers. It becomes increasingly difficult for the property owners to get new tenants in there without reinvesting in the property. And to put the monies that they need to reinvest, they're looking for some assistance. Again, the Tinley Park Plaza dates to the early 1970s. The Park Center Plaza, while we haven't had conversations with them, they also have a high amount of vacancy within that center. That dates to 1988. Actually, the Kmart and the Aldi buildings they're the newest amongst the cluster there that we're talking about.
Yep.
It's just the designation of, you're calling that blighted. I don't think that looks good for our town to say that whole area is blighted. What message are we sending by saying that this whole center is blighted?
Again, blighted is a legal term.
It's a legal definition.
It's a legal definition. It's not,
Yeah. And again, I think to echo what Brad is saying, we have, I mean, the old Kmart, there's interest from it, but we will not land a particular tenant that's looking there without significant incentives.
Well, that's the Cook County, that's why I said the reclassification would be a better option.
It won't be enough. It won't be.
And Brickstone's already come to us for an outrageous ask, right?
Right.
Because they want to-
They had a significant ask, and
Yeah.
again, it exceeded our fiscal policies on incentives. And we believe that the TIF provides a more viable option to provide the assistance that they're looking for.
Yeah. And it's great that new businesses are going in there, but
It still may not approach the levels
Right.
that they need, but we're able to put together a better package than through the sales tax that they were proposing.
Well, Diane, sorry.
I was just gonna, I mean, on the corner there is already been redeveloped. There's
Blaze
Starbucks,
Pizza,
Blaze
Starbucks.
right? Is that the same group?
That building is part of the same group,
Same
yes.
group. And of course, that section would not be part of the TIF, but it would be.
Well, it would be
near-
part of the TIF, but obviously, it's not.
it's frozen higher.
It's not being impacted by a redevelopment,
Right.
so it's revenue neutral.
But I can tell you, I was there today, their entire parking lot needs to be replaced. I couldn't traverse it today. It was treacherous, and that's
Yeah.
right at Blaze Pizza.
Well, it'd be
I
nice if
mean,
they
and-
could move in the
and-
other
and-
section.
And again, it's not that they've, I mean, the owners have not neglected this shopping center by a long shot. I mean, they.
Well,
they
you
did this-
said it's
they did this
70s.
redevelopment on the north. Most recently did the development on the north end. They had previously done a similar thing on the south end that created an outbuilding and took the old Builder Square property that had been vacant for a very long time, and reconfigured that end of the center to get new tenants in there again with the outbuilding as well. So it's not that they've neglected this facility, but still, there's a big chunk that is still the old format that needs to be refreshed.
Yep.
And the map that's in the packet, again, that's the proposed map. We could go through this and decide, as the consultant looks at it, and they may say, you know, this parcel should be in or shouldn't be in, so it's a proposed map. At the end of the day, we may want to tweak it a little bit.
We may resize it by the time we're done.
Right.
So for $18,000, we may find out exactly what I just said, or we can be the other side of the coin where we tip the whole thing as well as the entire town.
Well, nobody's talking about that for the entire town, so I
I am. We have 4 open.
don't. It's a very small percent of the whole town, though. Very small percent.
I disagree with that, Dave, but
Okay.
Any other questions, Diane?
I don't think so.
So what do we need to do tonight? Do we need a motion to move this to the board?
Recommendation to bring this to the board, yeah.
Move it to the board with a motion, or recommendation to move it to the board?
Yeah,
I mean, it's over $20,000, so this is,
move it to the board
would
for
need to
approval.
approve it, so.
and ECC is not getting it at all either?
Does this normally go through ECC? What is kind of,
Honestly, I didn't check, but I don't recall that we've actually run the creation of a TIF through ECC, but. maybe we
It's a
can double check.
feasibility study, as you said.
I mean, we
not
can
a
double check
creation.
that.
Just want to make sure.
Legacy, yeah, I mean, we'll double check that. I mean, since I've been here, I know we've done the mental health center, the Legacy TIF.
New Bremen.
Remember, and then the new TIF last year. The new Bremen,
Main
double check.
Street,
I
New
mean, if we
Bremen.
Double check to see if they, I mean, if we did, we want to give them input, I mean, that's fine, that's 2 weeks.
At the proposed 159th and Harlem TIF to the next village board meeting.
I would second it.
All those in favor? Aye.
No.
Those opposed?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, I can't mortgage my future on, yeah, no, I'm opposed, sorry.
Motion passed 2-1. Item number 6, receive comments from the public. Seeing that there is none,
Anybody?
can we have a motion to adjourn the regular Community Development Committee meeting?
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Just 2 minutes to reset.
Who's next?